Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 14 of Teh Tarik with Walid, and as you can see, we have a very special guest here today, the indomitable, the legendary Dr. Cheng Bock. He is a unique character in Singapore politics, the first significant defector from the PAP since independence, I would say. So welcome, Dr. Well, not welcome, I'm in your house. Thank you for welcoming me into your house, and welcome to this show, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I think whether you agree with Dr. Tan's politics, as many of you do and some of you do not, I assume, I think no one can deny that he has dedicated his life in service of this country. So firstly, I just wanted to thank you for doing whatever you have done.
Thank you very much, boy. Thank you. Welcome to my house.
Yes, thank you. So, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to type them, and if you cannot hear us, tell me also. Alright, so my first question is, so you have served under the Prime Ministers, all the Prime Ministers, you know them.
Yeah.
And you know most of the, at least 3 cabinet members, right? And many of the members of Parliament, and you were there since for three decades or more, and yet the reason why you are in the opposition today is because for you the PAP today is no longer the PAP of old, and yet the personnel is still the same largely. The Prime Minister has been there as long as you have been as well. So my first question to you is it the PAP who has changed, or is it Dr. Cheng Bock who has changed?
I have not changed. I'm still the same Cheng Bock. But I think the PAP did change. When I compare the current PAP with the time when I joined the PAP, and that was with Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, I could sense that definitely there is a vast difference. You see, when when Lee Kuan Yew approached me to become his MP, he actually convinced me that he wants people like me to get into Parliament and help him to take Singapore to the next level of growth. You must remember at that point when he invited all of us, many of my colleagues into Parliament, most of them he told me the education was not that what he expected. So he came and he went around and searched for a couple of us there. And when he convinced us on the value of being in politics to really improve the livelihood of our people. Because at that time, you must remember, in the early 80s, of his life is not as glamorous as today. But at that time, his call was strong. He said, you must come and help me because Singapore needs good people, or else by default he will be picking people of the caliber he actually no choice. In other words, he adopted a plateau model. If good people don't come, then don't regret if this place is run by second graders. I mean, that makes you damn great. You think you're such a great. Honestly, at that time, nationalistic spirit was very strong. So I felt it was really a good call, and I just went along with him, and I watched how he went about getting all these policies crafted out. Some of which I didn't quite agree, but generally the tone was the country come first. And when you talk to him, it's like that. I was quite fortunate because he has called me many times for lunch, and he shared with me many of what he hopes Singapore should become. And I really enjoyed those tutorial sessions, I call.
This was before you
Yes.
Before, so 1979?
No, that was when
after you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very good tutorial for me. He would plan out the whole future, what Singapore should be like. And then later when I became feedback chief, well, we connected even more. And that was why I took it like, it's so really, that's my work, my dream, to make Singapore better, you know. So that's it.
Right. So I mean, I can definitely see the longing to serve or the desire to serve. And you know, the easy thing for you to do is just enjoy your retirement. Right? Joining the opposition is the hardest thing to do, right? So, but if I could push you a little on that, right? So, and one of the things I really appreciated during the elections was when you took a strong stance when the statement on Raisahan was issued by the PAP, and you said that was gutter politics.
Yes.
And I guess this is not new, right? The PAP has been doing this for the longest time.
Yeah, I agree with you, and was very upset sometimes. I remember in the very, very beginning when they were actually coming down very hard on the opposition. I personally, in my constituency, I didn't want to take that step.
Okay. Right.
So I'm quite proud that many of the opposition members who fought against me actually later came to actually shake my hands and thank me that I didn't delve into that sort of politics.
Right.
Because in the beginning I didn't quite understand that because that generation of leaders, they went through a lot, and it's a survival.
Right.
But I said our time is really changing. We should be more magnanimous and be more forgiving and try to involve more and more into this nation building. I don't belong to that. If you leave Singapore, for example, there was a time when they said, if you leave Singapore, then you are like a traitor. But I didn't want that. I didn't agree with them. I said I would like to leave the door not tightly shut to these people. And I remember when I made that statement, I said I want to leave the door a little bit ajar so that they can come back. And let us well come back because they have seen the other side. And if they've seen the other side and they still want to come back, don't close it so tight. But of course I remember Rajaratnam scolded me.
Why?
He said, no, you should be very firm on this. If they want to go, let them go. But
you're talking about the government scholars who live.
no, the time in Singapore.
Singaporeans normal.
Because don't forget that at that time, many were in a state of uncertainty.
Right.
So some of them, you got to understand. For example, I bought this house. I bought this house cheap because the person who was here, who owned this place, was so scared of the domino effect. You remember when Vietnam?
Right, in 1979.
Yeah, when the Vietnam people came, won the war.
Right.
Many Singaporeans were very jittery. So he came and disposed of this place and went away.
Oh.
So that's why that time everybody was talking about running to Australia and so on. But that, I say no, I think nowadays, we all should take a more enlightened look. Because if we want to serve the community, no one is perfect, you know. And they can leave. If they don't like me, they can go, but I won't, okay, good luck to you.
Right.
I will not get upset.
Right.
So there's a gutter politics to me, I think let's put aside.
Right.
Let's forget about it. Now it's a contest of ideas. Really.
Right.
They have good people. I can say that I also will have good people. And let Singaporeans decide.
Right.
So the future politics should be along those lines.
Right.
So I hope that Singaporeans would not think that only the PAP has got the prerogative to run this country. There are equally competent people now coming into the political scene, joining many of the political parties, but give them a chance, you see. And later Singapore will be even much better because if there's this diversity of views, there is this more care in your policies.
Right.
Because we will be there to make sure that the policies are crafted in the correct manner.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I just wanted to, before we move on, so you basically have always disagreed with even the...
No, I wouldn't say always.
like the tactics was Dr. Chi or JBJ while you were there in the PAP. you think that was harsh even then?
Yeah, I think we were harsh to them also, but also somehow or other, there is this if you're not with me, you're against
Right.
me. You know? So I think, for example, when JBJ was in the house, his posturing was quite like very angry, you know, that he wants to take on Lee Kuan Yew every time Lee Kuan Yew come to the house, you see. And then people, what I call, was very angry when they saw Chee Soon Juan in that pose. But honestly, when you get to know Chee Soon Juan now, we must learn to understand that when he was a young man at that point, we are all hot-headed, you know. So sometimes we just shout. Maybe he regret it, but Singaporeans should also forgive, you know, that he is a man who is quite competent. Maybe one day you should let him get elected and let him have a say, you know. We hope that the Singaporeans will now have a different kind of political thinking. So that I hope the younger chaps will go along those lines.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that answer. So now that you mentioned Dr. Chi and the others as well, so there was a lot of talk about an opposition alliance, and you guys met up, and and I think even then you sort of portrayed yourself, I think rightly so, especially in the West, as a godfather of opposition politics. You were walking around with some of them. But my question is, why did it fail?
I don't think it failed. It was because they're non-starter.
Yeah, why was it a non-starter?
No, I think, to be honest, when they asked me, those smaller groups asked me whether I should lead, I questioned myself, how can I lead? First, I don't have a political party, remember, in the early days. I don't even have a political party. And I think the people who should be leading should be Workers' Party. Because Workers' Party has got attraction. How many? There are 50 years there in Parliament, and I don't even, of course I went to Parliament, but the political party is also not formed. So rightly they should look to Workers' Party to take the lead, or maybe SDP, because they had the history. But for me, I can be a conduit for change. I can go there and maybe make things a little bit easier for one another. But when I'm there, I sense that sometimes the smaller parties, rightly or wrongly, they believe in the constituencies type of, I must get this going, I want to win this constituency. But I told them, no, we are looking at the big picture. And the big picture is how Singapore is going to be run if you should come into power. That is that is the way you should be thinking, the kind of people you want to bring in. I'm not just interested in one or two constituencies. Where do I go after that? There must be some future. So I think it would be a non-starter. But I was quite friendly with most of them. So if you notice in 2020 election, we didn't clash. Everybody knows where to go. I took the west side, Workers' Party east side, SDP center, and the splinter parties all over the place. But we didn't come and we didn't have no problems. Maybe in my area, RP was a bit cross because we went to West Coast. But I asked myself, I got no choice. If you say that this is the place you choke and I cannot come in, then where do I go? I'm a newbie, you see. So there was a little bit unhappiness by RP against us, but I hope they understand.
So I think the results also prove you right? The proof is in the pudding, right? So basically, if Workers' Party was involved, or tomorrow, let's say Mr. Pritam calls you and say, Dr. Tan, let's have an alliance and he's going to lead it.
I don't mind. It's okay.
You are comfortable.
It's comfortable. We have an alliance. In fact, we have an informal alliance. In fact, Pritam and I, we are quite close. He comes to my house, we have drinks and so. So it's very good. I go to his annual event. So I think even with SDP too, we have Chee Soon Juan also here, Lin Tian also here. It's okay. I'm quite friendly to all, and I just hope that good sense should prevail during the GE. If really you cannot win that one, I think you just make way for the others.
But why doesn't that always happen? Why is it that we see that people who know that they cannot win still contest?
So I think you got to respect them because
Right.
they believe
For sure.
that they are capable of winning.
Right.
That is, you, whether rightly or
Right.
let's respect them and let them
Right.
try their best, you see.
Right.
Because we want diversity of views.
Right.
So if there are more political parties, more who want to express their views in whatever way. So if they want to stand as a individual, let them.
I agree, and I think the voters will sort
Yeah,
that out.
I think Singaporean voters are quite intelligent,
Exactly.
and they will know where they should vote.
Right, I agree with that. So you are not closing the door to a future alliance with anybody?
Yeah, just informal alliance is already there already.
Right.
In fact, you see SDP, Workers' Party, myself, even the 10, we are still friends. You see. So I think the opposition are coming. I think they all know. Then there will be new political parties come. Never mind, it's all, if they all feel that they can express their political views better in another party, I always say, please go.
Right.
I'm not going to stop you.
Okay.
Because you have that prerogative to choose.
Right, okay. So I have two questions on the future and they are related, right? So first is, what is Dr. Tan's future? So I want a scoop today. So
I think somebody asked me, Doc, when are you going to retire?
No,
I
no.
said, hey,
No,
I
you
just
haven't
started.
retired.
No, I just started. I said, I just started. Okay, ask me to retire. I just started. But the past is the past. But I left my medical practice and joined the political party,
Yeah.
so I just started. But this is this is a question many Singaporeans ask. They always equate PSP with Tan Cheng.
yes,
And that's where I want to try to let Singaporeans understand that yes, I took the lead to form this party, but my reason for taking the lead is to set a platform for other Singaporeans who believe in what I want to do for the future of the country to come on board with me, and then we will together try to convince Singaporeans that what we are trying to propose to you is very logical and very good. So this is my biggest problem, finding those group of people. So they asked me, Doc, you must look for very young people. But I don't know whether I should just look for young people because Singaporeans are so aging. So I will hope that I will have a slate of Singaporeans coming to join me, all age groups. There shall be no distinction. Oh, I look for young.
Oh, I agree.
Because if the young is need the young may not have the wisdom.
yeah, I agree.
You see, I have selected a few. For example, Francis Yu. Look, he runs big companies,
Right.
$1 billion company.
Right.
You know. Then I have very young people like Sean, third year graduate law student. Now, but he needs the wisdom of
Yeah.
Francis Yu, who is a corporate chief. You know, he runs the Honeywell, which is so big. You know, how many fellows Asians can
Right.
run Honeywell?
Right.
So he can pass on his knowledge of his corporate experience to the others. Then there are many. We have good academics like Dr. Tan Meng Wah. You know, when Dr. Tan Meng Wah first came to see me, I didn't want to take him, you know.
Why?
Why? But everybody thought you're crazy, he's such a smart man. But if he's only one subject man, no good, I said. But I tell you, I was wrong. I found that he is the most dedicated man. He go to now, even after election, he's talking to the residents in his block. And the residents beginning to love him. But he's a very knowledgeable man in the field of what? In housing, in this rental stuff, this REITs and all this. And so here is a man with a lot of wealth of knowledge. So I need this type of people to pass knowledge to the younger people. So then we have all the Merdeka people. I have a few Merdeka and the Pioneer. Do you just say that they shouldn't come into the political arena because they are old? No, they have wisdom.
Right.
They have experience. To ask me to just speak only for the young people to take, I think that is the thing I will not want to do. So there should be a complement of people.
Right.
I will try to get this team, and currently I can see the team actually forming better. We had experience. We have a lot of footprints now. So that's very important, because many people criticize me and say, why you take why don't you go so many places? I want to know my ground. I'm thinking of the future. I know this round, if I'm lucky, I can get one good seat. If not, never mind. I will know how. And I want them to have that experience.
Right.
So I think many of them now have more experience. So if you go to the wards that we have contested, I think still you can find them there.
Right.
They are still there.
They're still walking.
They're walking around. And I only went recently to my old ward, and people so happy. They give us oranges. We are going there to give them oranges. They give us oranges. So it's a good sign.
Right.
They do recognize, and many of them do recognize me. And I think at the end of the day, people must know that you are genuine in what you want to do,
Right.
and they can see you are fake. They will know.
Right.
So I told my men, if you go there, try to pretend I
To
think
be who you are not.
I think you're not, please not.
Right.
They will one day find out,
Right.
and you'll be disgraced to my PhD. You should get sacked.
Okay, thank you. Ruby, maybe you can look at the questions. Which one are the better ones? Then you can tell me, because I cannot see them. Yeah. So Doc, so you answered actually the second one, the future of the party. I wanted to ask the future of Dr. Tan Cheng. Are you going to contest in the next
You
presidency
see,
election?
in politics, you never say, I won't do this. In politics, I say, leave it open. I'm 80, I'm going to be 81 this April. Now, before I went to Parliament, went for this election, I went for a medical checkup, because I want to be assured. I got to feel that I'm confident.
Right.
Because I don't want to let Singaporeans know that I'm such an ill,
Right.
sick person trying to do something for who?
Right.
I must do for the country.
Right.
So I had a checkup, it was quite good. See. But after this, only last month, I went to have a big checkup. So my doctor, very nice people, he said, Doc, it's going to make you strong, I say, okay, then you do all this tough, this treadmill, what they call the more difficult type. And I was quite good, I passed.
Okay.
Although I have an injured leg. This injured leg is because of my carelessness. I played golf that time, and I tried to be too smart and tried to drive further than a young man. And at the end of it, I twisted my left ankle and injured it. But otherwise, I'm healthy.
Right.
And that's important.
Exactly.
So I got to stay healthy, and I keep my options open. But the important thing now is the team. It's not me. You see, and the team, I'm getting them slowly. I'm throwing a few very young chaps I interview, because every week I'm interviewing one or two. And I must say I'm so lucky, because after the GE, we had a lot of young people coming forward. We were wondering how come. We had about 400 in one shot.
Wow.
So we don't know what to do. I said, I got to start to sieve them.
So you personally,
I personally do it because
Wow.
it's for the country. I want to make sure these chaps who finally and get into the political fray must be competent enough. So now I have the team and we always do it. So it's good. So I'm quite, I still happy. They're coming and some of them don't know, they were shocked. They were, I didn't tell them. But actually I'm not just interviewing them as candidates. I want to interview also, you see that in a political party, it's not just the candidates. I need a backup team.
Right.
And my backup team must be competent people.
Right.
They may not want to be known to the outside world. And I know some of them are members of very big organizations. Some of them are actually belonging to the other side. But they come and help me because I make them as my
So they are what, party members or civil service?
Some I tell you, I better not mention, but they see value in what you want to do. So they give us advice. So I'm quite happy.
Right.
So for example, my two NCMPs, They are not, they need the cover. So they will be backed by a
Right.
team. So each one got one, we got one team that back these two people. So sometimes they go to parliament and then they get walloped. So my wife then not why, but they are not so good. I said, never mind. This is a good political wound.
Right.
We, those who don't have this, all these political scars, parliamentary scars, are not performing in the crowds.
Right. Agree.
If you are always going there just to win all the time, no, sometimes you will lose, but don't worry. This is part of politics, part of getting through a debate a better outcome.
Right. Yeah.
So you sometimes you win, sometimes you
Yeah.
lose, but don't get upset.
And also the fact that if they are attacking him so much, that shows he's doing something right or he's saying something.
No, I don't want them to have this. I don't want to have this. What they call anger politics. Or,
Right.
Or not so good. You know.
Right. So, are we going to see a President Tan Cheng Bock?
Oops. Yeah, that's something else.
Is it still on the horizon? I mean, I cannot imagine that he wouldn't-
Honestly, I want to be your president at that time because I was hoping so if I were president then I would be able to what do you call it, do the task of the president as we did it, as we spell it out in parliament. That is what my idea. Because I want the president to be totally independent, not be afraid to ask the right questions, not be afraid to actually criticize. You know.
Such as what? What are the right questions within the jurisdiction of a president?
Because no, every bill got to come to the
Yeah.
House, got to go to part
Yeah.
to.
So like OFMA, for instance, you
Oh,
will
yes,
ask
yes.
questions.
Yeah, I will ask questions.
Right.
I want to make sure that because the important thing is the people interest. Is this bill affecting the people? How badly is it affecting? If this bill is good for the people, go ahead. No questions asked. But if things that are questionable, I may just ask them to send it to a select committee, for example. So because of my experience in the House, I know exactly what I'm reading when I wrote it.
Right.
It's a lot of difference. You know?
Right.
You are blurred, you go there, you
Yeah.
know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that the appointments of people must be proper.
Okay.
There shall be no appointments, made on relations.
So this is the heads of civil service and
Civil
all those
service, I want to
positions,
see
yeah.
friends, I want to know. So I have even set up a team that time to actually go through the whole appointment. So because if your appointments are proper, there will be trust. People will trust your government. So the president's role is to make sure that the parliament do the right things. And it is his responsibility. If they've done wrong and the president not doing anything, I think it's not correct. So he asked me whether I want to stand as the president again. I think I don't know that according to all the rules and regulations, I think I'm being locked up already. But things can change. We don't know.
So if you qualify, you would stand in it.
Actually, I think it's sad, but I would prefer that the presidency, if I have a chance, if there's a change, should be open to all Singaporeans.
Okay.
Because every young boy aspires to be somebody, a chief president. Well, and if he has that qualification, he may not be running 100 million corporation. He might be only running about 50, or he cannot run. But the most important thing is integrity for that man. The most important thing is honesty. And all this reading of numbers and all this, no problem. You always have people who can help you. You have all the way, but the most important ingredient in that president is this independence of thought. Independence, then you know that your judgment is based on very reasoned arguments. Backed not by thought out not only by yourself, but by the team that we are bringing along.
Right.
So a president is that important. So that, people will know that, our reserves are in good shape.
Right.
And what's wrong if every year I tell you that your reserves are okay? You see, if it's okay, why do you worry about it? But if you keep on, not sure here and there.
Right.
So actually, presidency, all these options, as I said, it's in politics, we keep it open.
Okay. Okay, so that's a yes.
I'm always looking for people who are better than me. Honestly, because I'm already in a political party, it will be better if you find somebody who's outside the political party.
Right.
Then you can
Right.
really ensure independence. I don't want like now. Okay, the PAP will always have their own candidate.
Right.
I don't know whether I should do all this now. I think maybe we let somebody in Singapore. I'm sure there are many. And if that person is good, I will support him. And I know that, and I'll give him all the aid. So it's not that I want to be just president.
Right.
No. If you are really honest about how a good president should be, it not necessarily be me. It can be there are so many now, and we can actually support a good man with all the credentials and all the criteria.
Right.
But as I said, I think a president should always be honest, upright, independent.
I see. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I agree with you. Not people who say, "Oh, this person is too old." They are just being ageist. Ultimately, what matters is if you're healthy. If you're 30 and you're not healthy, you shouldn't
And
be
then
running.
some 30 years old don't think like 30.
Yeah. So you shouldn't be running. So
Yeah.
so I agree. I said, don't. I hope. I'm sure. That will never stop you. Right? The idea that I'm too old for this.
I think age should be now look at it differently.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. If you are honest about entering into any profession, and you realize that Alzheimer's is creeping in, for example, be honorable, please step up. Though, because if you are honestly thinking of the country, how can you be
Right.
a good person
Right.
to manage when your mind is not good?
Right. Okay. So there are a couple of audience questions. So the first one, is there an actual change in sentiments of what Singaporeans care for from the time you entered politics in 1980
Yeah.
compared to 2020 when you were walking the ground? Do you think there is an actual change in what Singaporeans want?
Of course, there are changes, you see, actually depend on which group you are talking
Yeah,
about.
what are
I
these?
think if you're talking about the older generation, the pioneer generation, and what the other Merdeka generation, they are all still captured by the PAP. You cannot blame them.
Even you cannot penetrate that.
No, I have convinced quite a number already. But when I talk to them, but you see, we don't have the time to explain all the details, you see. But some of them actually have come to join me. They are from the pioneer generation, and they are also from the Merdeka generation. But that group, and also those who are living in the poorer lots, they feel that the PAP can give them more than what they can give, because what is it in for me?
Right.
I can't give them all that.
Right.
So then we have to get all the younger people, and so that's why in this particular election, I chose the younger people came and advised me, said, "Doc, the younger people want to know you better. So let us teach you how to reach to the young." You see, we think we know. Sometimes we don't know. But it's no harm learning from them. So these young people come and tell me, "Doc, do you know what is hype beast?" I said, "What the hell is that?" So, you want to be in it? I said, "It's okay if I reach you and you can convince me." Very good. So they taught me hype beast. And then I become hype beast akong. But it's good, that means I'm learning.
Ruby taught you, is it?
And one of those people, quite a number of them. So, but it's so interesting, Of course, sometimes it makes you do a bit silly things, but not really, but they consider it fun. So when I went for my campaigning later on, I feel all these young chaps all following me like the Pied Piper and all following me. Then they come and stand in front of me and put up this sign. Akong, this. Akong must take a picture with him. So we all took pictures together. So we see the generation are changing. And they say, "I'm going to tell my
No, it's just a marketing, right? If you just did that, but there was nothing to your values or what, they wouldn't be interested. So
very
what,
true,
what
very
is
true.
that? What is it behind that?
People, honestly, they are even not voters yet.
Ah,
But they will talk to their grandma,
Right.
they call their
Right.
grandma, They tell the grandma, my Akong is very good, you see. But the other generation, they are very inquiring. So that's where they talk you about your policies.
Right.
They'll ask you about this, and this is where I got a whole team. And that's why I cannot be a master of all this. But I got a team now. We have, if you go through now our new what they call agenda that we have already. We did. I forgot to tell you, we really reorganized the whole party now. It's not like the party they went to the polls.
Right.
This is a brand new party now, with all the structures all properly
spelled
out.
So there was a question, maybe since you're on that. So has the party membership process changed since? Especially early on, there was some defections,
Also many
infighting.
plenty. But then you must expect.
I expect
People will say, "Dog,
Right, right.
how can you let this fellow go? How can you let that fellow go?" I said, politics is like this.
Right.
There are people who come, they feel that they are very competent, so we don't doubt them, we still let them in. But there's a limit. I always say,
What's that line?
I will because I follow them carefully. Suppose we find with them, I track you. And if I find that all your messages are too individualistic and you're not a team player, then you're no good. So those who want to think that they want to set their own agenda and also try to what they call make you feel that without them you cannot.
Right.
That's all.
Right. Hero complex.
Yeah, thanks for hero complex. I said, please, you can go. Maybe you join another party. I give you my blessings. You can go. So there were a few.
Right.
But they went along, so okay, we let them go. And some now want to come back. But I don't think them.
Oh, for you once?
Yes,
once
you
they
leave,
did?
you leave. But we are still good terms.
Right, still friends.
You can still help us, but you cannot be the
Candidate.
candidate or what I cannot be seen.
Okay.
But it's okay. So it was what they call, I already described, every day is what is the term I usually, crisis management. Everyday crisis management, this will come. So I thought, hey, what am I doing? I'm in the corporate world again, trying to manage this and so on. But it's truth. So then you bring all the younger, the chaps involved. Look, these are the type of things. Then never mind, you must learn. Because when I'm not around, you got to make the decisions.
Right.
So in the beginning, everybody threw the decision to me. So I pretend. I said, look, if you want to be leaders of Singapore and everything you run to Cheng Bock, then what sort of people? You cannot be a leader, I said.
So it's not true that the PSP, every decision runs through you?
No.
Not anymore.
I have the whole team. All the communications must go to one or two, the whole group.
Okay.
There is then policies, there's one whole group. Then there is events, another group. I cannot be doing that.
Right. Okay.
So I must create this team. It's a team effort, one.
Right.
So when I'm not around now, I watch. Sometimes I see them make mistakes, but I say, shouldn't do this, do it this way. Then they correct it. But there's a fine art of telling a person off without offending you. So you got to learn. So I'm teaching some of them how to, because politics is not a corporation. So when I have many corporate people coming to join me, I say, if you are a corporate man, let me explain to you. I just want you to learn two terms. Sell or tell. In the corporate world, you tell. But in the political world, you sell. You must sell your ideas. You must tell them why your idea is good. But in the corporate world, you are the chief. You make the decision, you tell them, they go. So they have to learn just 2 words of politics. So now they are beginning to understand.
Right.
So most of the decisions now I leave it to them. And so we even have a disciplinary committee. But I don't want to call it disciplinary committee. We had like people who are upset, they come, they complain against this.
Okay.
But when personal things, party, there's a lot
For sure.
personal stuff.
For sure, yeah.
I think in any corporation.
Yeah.
So all this personal thing, please go sort it. You're going to get a lawyer to sue each other.
But when you say the individualistic, but don't you think there's something about politics? Politics will always attract this kind of characters.
Correct.
Because you need to have a little bit of ego to be in politics.
Correct.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong, right?
There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
That's
That's
why
not too much.
That's not too much. Except the ego. I know many of them have a damn strong ego, but you must temper your ego.
Right.
Because your ego will kill your talent. So some of them are so talented, but their ego is so strong, their talent's all gone. Because you hurt so many people around you. So if you're a smart guy with a strong ego and the talent that you see around you, you galvanize all these people, you'll be a good leader.
Right. Okay. So we only have 5 more minutes, so I'll just take this couple. So first, I think a short question. No. This has been great. This has been great. I'm sure everyone agrees. So should we ensure that future presidential candidates do not have any formal political affiliations? Let's say if you have been a party member, you cannot
No, it's already in the books already.
But now you have to resign, right? Yes. This person is asking whether even if you were,
you must
person
resign,
should be,
right.
but as in,
You see, once you want to enter the presidential arena,
You
cannot be a politician.
so
That's why, like current president Halima, he was a speaker, she got to stand.
So this person is asking if you've entered a party before, you cannot ever contest.
No, you can't contest.
As in the future, do you think that's a feasible suggestion?
No, if you're in a political party, you shouldn't contest.
Yeah.
No, I think.
Then we will be leaving the deadline.
No, maybe there should be a grace period.
Right. So
Maybe
maybe 5 years. Right.
Maybe
Okay.
3 or 5 years grace period.
Yeah. That would
Like
be-
for example, if a general want to be a minister, I think the general must go through a 5-year grace period doing something else before you put him as a minister. Same also the president,
Right.
let him go through
Right.
a grace period.
What's the rationale for the general 5 years?
No, because honestly, if you're in the military world, there's a lot of difference. Some of my men are actually military people, okay? They are all colonels and some of them could have been, they've been generals, like Francis Yu. But the very fact that he if you see him now, and if he had been in the army, it would be different. Because here, you're exposed to the outside world. When you negotiate things, all these are different. But when you're in the military world, there's a certain pecking order. You follow that pecking order, you don't have that room to maneuver, to explore your other challenges apart from military. So can you imagine? Let's go in. You go to China. You're a military man. You go to China and want to talk trade. You'll be lost.
Right.
There are so many ways. My team has got many of China chaps. They can tell you all the very difficult positions. So if you don't have that, that's why it's dangerous for inbreeding. If the cabinet, for example, keep on taking only military guys in civil service, we are inbreeding. And that talent pool, because this becomes, you want to protect your own self really, without afraid. So we must avoid that.
Right. And there's a lot of that right now.
I hope you can see.
Okay, so final question, then I have a light-hearted one for you. So how can the opposition overcome pork barrel politics? Because voters, they want opposition representation, but not in their own backyard, because they want the goodies still.
Yeah, that is.
How can?
I think that is tough now, because it is something that has been that is already in the system of the voters. This policy of reward and punishment. So reward and fear, punishment. And it has been carried out from the days of Lee Kuan Yew now. Lee Kuan Yew had to do it because there's a different population. But now they still carry it out because of maybe a lot of political patronage and so on. So there is always this fear that if they were not to vote for the PAP, they will not get all those
Shelter, walkways.
all the walkways. And now this one area we all should change.
Okay.
We should change. We should tell Singaporeans not to fear so much. You got to tell Singaporeans that all these rewards that they are getting, actually the money comes from where? From all of us. Through the People's Association. The People's Association, where do they get the funding? They get $1 billion funding at one time from the budget. This money should be apportioned to everybody to build all the CIPC projects and so on. But if it's only given to the PAP and not like to the Workers' Party, as I was told by some of the amenities that they want to build, like there was one walkway in 7 years, Pritam Singh was telling us, that's wrong. Because how can we create community? How can we create unity? How can we want to win Singaporeans to come together as one family with different views, but never mind. But if you impose this sort of thing, then I think they must, to get our community to be proud to be Singaporeans again, we must relook at People's Association. Just play a honest, proper role.
Should PA be depoliticized in terms of
I think it should be depoliticized.
So no politician should sit
on it. So that they can actually dish out whatever is needed to the various constituencies in a fairer way, irrespective of political affiliation.
Right.
Because it's really sad in the Philippines, PAP, there will be a basketball court, the fellas cannot go in. It's so embarrassing. And I tell you, it's crazy. I was there before, so oh my God, now difficult.
Okay, so let's end on a conciliatory note, right? So, who is your favorite 4G minister and why?
I got no favorite. I wish them well. I wish them they will.
Okay, who has impressed you the most?
Impressed me. I don't like to name names because it's not good to. But I think it's better if they collectively work together, and make sure they don't contradict each other in their decisions, and whatever they do, make sure they must earn the trust of the people.
You think they don't have that?
Yes, the Trace Together is a great example.
Okay.
The Trace Together, I supported it, and I got even Harish Pillai, one of my men, to go and help them to make it even better. But those were the conditions when Harish Pillai went there to help. So when they suddenly changed that the Trace Together will be used also for police work, for me, I thought, now the issue here is either public health or public safety.
Right.
But now COVID-19, public health more important. Public safety, you got all the various legislature already in existence. Don't go and complicate it. Because if you do that, you already assure that all of us should carry this trace together. And then now, and you assure me that it is only for that purpose.
Right.
Then you try to put it as so that created. I also now, I don't carry the trace together already. So this is where I said, decision making, if it's going to be a very important one, we better make sure that the trust that's going to create, please put it properly.
What can they do to rebuild this trust if it's not there already? Or it's
I think it's a question. All these things are examples. Like if you keep on having this sort of arrangement, I think this sort of things is difficult.
Okay.
You see, and it is important because I think at the end of the day, Singaporeans want a political system that is based on the very basic fundamental principle of accountability, right, independence, and accountability, independence, and there's another one I always forget. But anyway, these are important because all these will create trust.
Okay. More accountability,
independence,
and more independence will create trust between the government and citizens. and you see that as the biggest
Transparency, the other one. So the accountability, transparency,
and
and independence of appointments.
Okay, independence of appointments. So, if you think the trust issue is the biggest challenge for the
It's a very biggest challenge
Okay.
now, because I think even in the COVID management also there were little
Right.
hiccups in the beginning. But having said that, I think we pray that the COVID situation now will improve, and even if we are better, my parting advice to them, if we have all the information, all the knowledge, and all the, make sure we also help our neighbors.
Mm.
Because our neighbors, if they are not well supported in the battle on this COVID-19, it will affect us also.
Okay.
So if we are able to do it well, let's share information with them.
Right.
Even if we have the money, if there are a lot extra vaccine, we should also give it to some of them. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to really create that trust, not only with the people, but also with our surrounding our countries. Because the world is changing.
Right.
COVID-19 changed us. All this big, long journey, the growth is now here.
Right.
In Asia, you cannot run away.
Mm.
They're all coming here, all the rich people are here now. So let us make sure that we learn to be more magnanimous, and also learn to share whatever we have with our neighbors.
That was very sagely advised from an elder statesman. So thank you so much, Dr. Tan. I have to go eat the flower from your tree now.
Okay. Yeah, I do eat my friends.
Okay, thank you everyone
Thank you.
for joining.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.